Happiness is always because of this. You're happy because you won the lottery. You're happy because you fell in love. Or you're happy because you got a promotion or a compliment. But when you have happiness for no reason whatsoever, then that is described as the state of bliss. To be happy just at the mere fact of existence is the experience of bliss. And that comes not through object referral, but through self-referral. A person who is self-referral feels wonderful regardless of the situation, circumstance of environment, because he has ceased to seek his identity through objects. He therefore feels no urge to prove this to anyone, because if he had that urge to prove it to anyone, he would again be identifying himself through objects of reference, through other people's eyes. And this is the state of bliss. The characteristic ingredient of this is what is called silent witnessing, a higher state of consciousness where there are no labels, there are no definitions, there are no descriptions, there are no interpretations, there are no evaluations, there are no analyses, and there are no judgments. There's just the experience of silent, non-interpretive witnessing. And when one has that, then one is in that higher state of consciousness. And the Vedic literature, as described by Maharshi, describes 7 stages of those evolution. Waking, dreaming, sleeping are the 3 that we constantly, everybody knows of. And then, so deep sleep is the most primordial, right? Very little awareness. And then dream state, a new kind of awareness now. So it's more alive, more wakeful than the deep sleep. And it's very real. When you are in that deep sleep, then you're in the deep sleep. It's your reality. When you're in the dream state, it's your reality also. Nobody could convince you whilst you're dreaming that that is unreal. But when you wake up, then you say, aha, that was the dream. It's only after you wake up that you recognize the dream for what it is. Similarly, the Veda says one wakes up from the waking state. One wakes up from the waking state into the state of the transcendent, into the state of that divine consciousness. And then that 4th state of waking up from that occurs as a result of meditation. And as I said earlier, we specifically practice transcendental meditation to go to that 4th state. It is called Turiya. Then that is the 4th state of consciousness. The 5th state of consciousness is called cosmic consciousness, where now the state of silence or the state of non-interpretive witnessing begins to seep into our dreams, begins to seep into our waking state, begins to seep into our sleep. So even though we are dreaming, sleeping, or awake, doesn't matter what we are doing, we could be playing football, or we could be driving a jet plane. We are doing that activity, but in the background is that silent, watchful witness, that immortal continuum of consciousness, our ground state, that being of immortality, the ultimate experiencer. So even in the dreams, it's there. There's a quality of wakefulness to the dream, to the sleep state. That's called cosmic consciousness. And beyond cosmic consciousness is God consciousness. And if we don't like the term God, we can say refined cosmic consciousness. But whatever. God consciousness is where the objects of perception, we perceive them as also having the transcendent. And this is not interpretation, it's real experience. So there is a celestial experience in everything that we perceive. And finally, unity consciousness, where the difference between the observer, the observed, and the process of observation is completely gone, and one has the experiential knowledge that I am everything, that I am the rainbows, and I am the clouds, and I am the whole universe. This experiential knowledge is the ultimate goal of complete self-referral, which is the basis of Ayurveda and the Vedic tradition. So it took me all this time to give you just this very basic information, I would like to say that the information is very practical because it has this fascinating knowledge, but there's a practicality to it. One can take that knowledge and bring about healing, not only of the physical body, not only of the mind, but the real healing, which is the healing of the return to our essential nature, which is that non-attached immortal spirit that pervades all of manifestation. And if you want to know more about the practical aspects, as I said, I'll be happy to come down again and do a whole day seminar on the practical aspects. There's also an Ayurvedic doctor in the Dallas area who has been trained by our organization, and he can be contacted. He comes here once every 2 weeks, I believe, and he can be contacted through the local Transcendental Meditation Center or through Dr. Curtis, who will have the information. And there are also Ayurvedic clinics all over the country, and you can find information about them in my books. They're listed at the back of one particular book called Perfect Health. So with that, I'd like to end, and I'd like to end with a little quote from one of my favorite poets, Rabindranath Tagore, who in fact was a great rishi also himself. And Tagore and Einstein, two great giants of our time, met in the year 1929 on the outskirts of Berlin. And Einstein said to Tagore, he said, there are two different conceptions of the nature of the universe. Number one, the world as a unity dependent upon humanity. And number two, the world as a reality independent of the human factor. Tagore responded to that. He said, when the universe is in harmony with man the eternal, he didn't say the universe was eternal. He said, when the universe is in harmony with man the eternal, we know it as truth, but we feel it as beauty. We feel it as beauty. And Einstein, very much of a scientist, almost scoffingly said, that's a purely human conception of the universe. To which Tagore responded, he said, there can be no other conception. This world is a human world. The scientific view of it is also that of the scientific human being. And then, of course, Einstein said, now I know why I'm more religious than you are. And there's another little quote from Tagore, which is beautiful, which summarizes everything I've told you this evening. Tagore says, the same stream of life that runs through my veins runs through the world and dances in rhythmic measure. It is the same life that shoots in joy through the dust of the earth into numberless blades of grass and breaks into tumultuous waves of leaves and flowers. It is the same life that is rocked in the ocean cradle of births and deaths, in ebb and in flow. I feel my limbs are made glorious by the touch of this world of life, and my pride is from the life throb of ages dancing in my blood this moment. That experience of self-reference is what bliss is all about. So thank you for coming, and thank you for having me.